right, time to get into our conversation tonight here on The Bottom Line. What are we talking about? How do we get to achieve gender parity in the country? It has been a conversation that has been happening for quite a while, from 2010, I believe, and for 13 years we've been having this conversation on trying to implement the Constitution and say, by the way, we need to have equal representation and make sure that no part of representation in any appointive or elective post is more than two-thirds rather is of a particular gender. That is the conversation we are having tonight here on The Bottom Line. Now, I want to introduce my guest in studio, who is Sheila Sifuma. Thank you so much, Sheila, for making time for the conversation here on The Bottom Line. Let me start with this one before we get into what we want to talk about tonight. You're talking about the president on Monday met members of County Assembly. I do believe you are at State House, Nairobi, on Monday. And how was that particular meeting first?
Thank you, Brian. It's good to be here. The meeting went on well. You know, as a party, I am from the UDA Party, and the president is our party leader. So for him to call us and to just have a conversation with us, we had our own concerns, which we raised a couple of times. And by the time he was calling us, he had solutions for us on the direction, on the way forward, on how we are supposed to move. And he also guided us on what government is doing, what plans are in store for the country. Yeah. So it was a very good meeting, fruitful, I must say. Okay. Yes.
Now, there's a statement. You get the soldiers in Mashinani, making sure that you get to send the government's agenda. What is the government's agenda? And what, from that particular meeting, when you meet your people back in Bungoma, what is it that you're going to say? By the way, this is the place of the government as far as these issues are concerned.
Okay. For example, the Ministry of Health just launched the CHP program. Yeah. I know majority of Kenyans are not still aware about how it will roll out, but there's a community health promoter in actually every ward and every village. So I want to go back home because I actually got a list of those in my region, and I want to go and educate people to tell them, hey, some diseases you don't have to go to hospital. Get to know these people, have checkups whenever you have an issue, whatever they can solve because they have a kit, they can check your blood pressure, there's a few medicines they have, let them sort you. Yeah. Number two, in terms of the young people, you know, there's this one conversation that has been going on about Finya Computer Dollar, it's okay. Yeah. It's a whole program actually I came to discover, and there's the Ministry of Interior has a program that is having online training for young people on how to do digital jobs. So that's another thing I'm going to take back to Mashinani. Okay. Yeah. So
when it comes to the government's agenda, that is already spelled out for every member of County Assembly, and it's going to be, given to the people at the Mashinani level. Let's come to our conversation tonight. When you're talking about achieving the gender parity, it's a clamor for gender parity every now and then, and we always say, okay, we need to now move forward when it comes to having a formula on ensuring that we have equal representation. And women, in most cases, are not most cases, but are the ones that are very disadvantaged as far as this is concerned. Talk to me about that and what your view is as we speak at this particular moment when you look at representation in the country.
Okay, maybe I'll start at the county level because I sit in the County Assembly of Bungoma, and I'll tell you, Brian, even at the county level, the Assembly has really tried to be able to manage to get to nominate women at the County Assembly level, but some of them don't even have say. They have not been empowered enough to know, we come to the House, this is what we're supposed to do as legislators, this is what I'm supposed to contribute to the growth of a county or the country. So you see, if you look from let's say the bottom, the bottom of the leadership pyramid where the MCAs sit, there's still a gap. Even, for example, even you see the number of CCs that get into these county governments, they're still few. Even at the community level, even for leadership positions, even the village admins, it's just men everywhere. And what we are saying is women also can they can also lead. If they lead homes, they lead families, they have carved who we are as a people in this society. I feel like they need to be given a chance. Coming to the national level, there's also been a problem. And just as you've said, 12, 13 years down the line, we're still having that conversation. And for a long time, I feel like there's not been enough goodwill for this to roll out. And even the president mentioning during the G7 launch that moving forward, we want more women governors, we want more women in leadership. We even want a deputy president or a president who is female or of the opposite gender. I see direction, I see light. I see like there's a situation where we're coming where as a country, I think men will also say, you guys, we
a
we want a
yes. And that's what I want to talk to you about when it comes to the UDA party, because these are proclamations from the president himself.
Yes.
And it's showing initiative when it comes to supporting women in political positions. When you look at that, do you believe that some of these proclamations and some of these initiatives that the UDA party says now, okay, we need to start having this conversation on moving forward when it comes to having women in leadership positions, are they going to be implemented from where you sit?
I think yes. Why am I saying this? During the election, I was at the UDA Secretariat, and I can tell you for a fact, the president was very deliberate about the people who got the party ticket to run for different elective positions. We saw the likes of the governor for Nakuru, the governor for Kirinyaga, the Kwale governor. You know, even there was a Kilifi candidate who was Aisha Jumwa.
Yeah.
He really pushed these women to be able to go an extra mile.
Yeah.
And you see, the fact that you already gave them a party ticket in most of our stronghold areas was already a starting point. They were 50% done. Yeah. It was just for them to do the 50%, which they delivered on, and they became the governors. Yeah. So I feel like it's a good, the president and the party is in a good direction because they're leading from the front, not from stories. And even just this week when the ambassadors were appointed, majority, I think almost 16 of them were female. So you see, progress, small progress. Starting out, we were 3 governors, now we are 7. Moving forward, we want to see 24 governors. So I feel like there's progress.
Now, the aspect of 24 governors, are we going to get to that particular? Talk to me about what will be the best formula of ensuring, by the way, as far as governors are concerned. Let's just start with the governors because that's where we've seen a little bit of progress. That we get 24. What will be the best way to go about it? Political
parties, yes. You see, political parties are the vehicles to clinch power. Yeah. So if a political party gives you an opportunity to be able to get the party ticket to begin with, just a case in example of even Gladys Wanga. Yeah. As much as she's in ODM, I feel like the ODM party pushed her and gave her an opportunity to be where she is today. Because if they didn't give her the party ticket after a very competitive situation, then she'd not be governor today. Yet she's doing so well for Homa Bay County. So I feel like the best place to start is at the political parties level. If every political party, when they are submitting their lists to the IEBC for the nominees to vie, they need to make sure it is compliant. That will help us solve a lot of concerns that come up about women getting elected, what is happening. So I feel like political parties. And then again, there's this fund that is normally comes from the exchequer to political parties. I would suggest that they get a percentage for any party that is compliant. They get some money from the exchequer. Because anyway, even if you don't give them money, you see, you nominate so many people that you have to still pay. Because for example, if you nominate, let's say 100 people, these are people who you'll have to pay. Budget will go in billions. So what about getting just a few millions? Give it to political parties as an incentive. Like you guys managed to get to that gender, here is your money as an incentive. Political parties will comply. Political parties need money to run. Therefore, if they have money, I think they will be motivated enough to support women candidates.
Okay, now something else that we want to talk about is the position of women. And also just when it comes, we say there's political goodwill, but also there's one particular gender that might actually feel, hey, you're coming for our space. So when it comes to this other gender, and you're talking about men, especially in the National Assembly, even in the County Assembly, when they look at women and say, okay, they're coming up quite, strong as far as fighting for their position is concerned. How do we engage them to a point where it doesn't look like a competition about genders, but just equal representation?
I think they'll only understand once we are there. Because right now, you see, it's like a kid having a cake and you tell them to share. I feel like the other gender might not be willing to share the cake, but once the cake is divided to everyone equally, they'll see the need. Because case in example, most of the women governors are ranked best as compared to their male colleagues. And that alone should show Kenyans that there's capacity, there's potential for women to take up leadership positions. So moving forward, as a country, it is just to encourage the men that no one is coming for anything that you have. We're just saying, let's save money. Look at it like this. We just want to save money. We don't want to I don't want to be nominated next time. I want to buy and win. So you won't have to pay a nominated extra person some salary. You'll just get an elected person. And at the end of the day, we serve the community. Because at the end of the day, the community is what benefits. And even going back to the theme that was this year's International Women's Day, you know, when you invest in a woman, you accelerate progress in the community, because they will go back, work in their communities, and progress will be seen. So yeah, it's not a competition.
Okay, it's not a competition.
Yeah.
Let's come back to G7.
Okay.
G7 is something that you know, you look at it and you're like, oh, there's a new G7 in town. When you look at that, as a woman politician, you just gotten into the political space and you're looking at women governors coming together. You know, what does that speak to you as far as the future of women representation is concerned in the country? Let
me start at this, Brian. You see, first of all, coming from a Western county, I was a bit disappointed, because you see, we have no woman at the G7. So already, to me as a young woman from Western Kenya, I feel like that is a challenge. Because what is happening, because if political parties give women tickets, are there no political parties in Western? Or what happened in Western Kenya? I think that conversation also has to be put at the table. Because we've seen women from that particular area of the county doing well in other regions, in other fields, sorry. So I feel like whatever G7 is proposing, the strategic plan that they launched, is to look at the challenges that women face, see how we can navigate them, see how we can help, because a woman, whenever they go for something, they face so many hurdles that you cannot compare to a man. I think they're automatic. There's family, there's just the biological, there's a lot of issues that are on the roadblock. So we are looking at, how do we navigate? We don't want to avoid them. How do we just navigate through them and get to where we want to go as a country, and we go together? So from an overlook, I think we're in the right direction. When the G7 was launched, there's some hope. There's hope. There's hope. Yeah, there's hope for us young women leaders.
There's hope.
Yes.
And okay, so let me come to what role, maybe, because at times you talk about media representation as media. Is it representation or what? How we portray rather of women. Would you say, what would be the role of us as the media to actually get to portray women in power, so that we get to encourage other women who want to get into this particular space?
First of all, when you invite me to a show, it doesn't just have to be about gender. I can also talk economics. All right. Because that is my field of expertise. So I think that is the first place. Like, let's engage them across all fields. Because we've even seen governors, even Waiguru, she's very good with numbers. And we've seen even when she was at the helm of some institution, he did very well. So media can come in by supporting us, giving us visibility like this one, which we are grateful for. Because now people will understand what content we have. You know, sometimes when you come from nowhere, let me just quote nowhere, because you've not been seen before, and then you are in a position of power, people wonder, hey, who is this? You know, there's that question of, where is this one from? But you see, the minute you give me this platform, I come explain myself. I come and say what vision is there for the young women of this country. That already is a plus. So I think media, you're doing well. You can do more. Yeah, you can.
Okay, now, I want us to get back to the political parties, and right now you mentioned quite a number of political parties, and just getting to support women, but you also say that more should actually get to be done as far as this is concerned. What are some of the things that you say? Let's now align this one and say this one should be very critical when you start looking at supporting women in the political space. Let's start with this one for political parties.
First of all, empowerment in terms of going to the mashinani woman and explaining to them what leadership entails. Just having mentorship programs, very particular in terms of leadership, where you tell them this is what leadership means. When a woman is in leadership, this is what it means. Because you see, sometimes people say women are their own enemies, but I don't think so. I actually think women can support you. It just depends how you package yourself. Because you go to this kina mama mboga, women in the schools, in the markets, and you tell them, here, look, when one of us is there, this is what will happen. Like just a case in example. This weekend I was in Bungoma County, in the village called Lukusi. Down there, I know you've never heard about it. It's a very remote village, and I was giving out sanitary towels. I used to think that is just a normal thing to do. But it brought me to tears, because how excited those girls were, just for a simple, a simple product you take for granted here in town. So from where I sit, I feel like empowerment, and then us even as women leaders in our spaces, nominated, elected, we need to do more. We don't just need to go and sit and fill numbers. Once you're on the part of the 2/3, do something for the community. Let the community feel why they need a woman there to represent their issues. So it's a challenge.
Because it's also get to represent, and I believe because it's somehow marginalized community. When you are given that particular opportunity, you carry it well, I mean, you get to perform it, then the people that are coming after you will actually get to be trusted with that. So it's not just about you, it's about an entire generation.
It's a whole generation. I remember there's a comment that the Embu governor, Cecily Marire, said that because the Kirinyaga governor performed very well in the neighboring county, the people in Embu trusted her that she can actually do well. And that's how she got elected as governor. So you see, it has a ripple effect. So as a woman leader, once you're in a space, do your best. Yeah. Go to the mashinani people, help women, help men, help young boys, just be all round to support the community so that they can see value. You see, once you are attached to value, then any other person who comes after you, then they'll be saying, there's someone who was here and they did good. Let's also try this one. Let's try. Okay. By the time we are on 2032, the trial will be giving results.
Okay. Yeah. Because I'm running out of time. As we wind up, what will be the future when you sit here and you look at the future? And I want you to, based on your party's declaration first, what does the future look like for women representation in the country? Let's start from there.
Promising. Promising is a word. Because you see, once there's progress in any particular institution, that's already promise. Number one, let's just, because we've talked about governors, from the G3, now we are G7, we are looking at G24. Even, we know we're aiming at 24. In case we don't hit it at 24, that's where we will be ahead, above 7. Come back to PSs, come back to CSs, going down, the ambassadors, chairman of boards, all these other different leadership positions. We are seeing progress. I think in this government, as far as I can tell, and I can remember, I think we've had the most women in government, and not just women, even young women, because we have young PSs who are women. So it's a good thing, because these young women are the ones who will grow to become presidents.
Now, important that you mentioned that, because and I think this was coming from the opposition, that they were talking about, the president had promised, 50-50 when it comes to representation once he took office. But when he got in, we didn't get to see that immediately. And right now we are talking about, gender parity, equal representation. So where was the disconnect then, if you may?
I think the president was very particular. That is his dream. He desires 50-50. Okay. And right now, as a country, we're just fighting 2/3. So I feel like he has already, even in his appointments, look at the ambassadors, we're already at 2/3. I think Senate is just short of 2 people to get to 2/3. Parliament is what he's doing terribly, because Parliament, I think we need 53 more women to get to gender parity, which is the 2/3. So when you aim, we are aiming for a higher number. Even if you fall short by 1 or 2 people, I think we should clap for ourselves, because where we're coming from is worse off, because there's a time that Bunge could sit and there would be no particular woman, or even their voice would not be heard, because they could not lobby even as a caucus. But now we have women caucuses in most of our assemblies, in county level, even national level, there's women caucuses. Before, that was just a dream. So we are on the right track. If you come back to the appointments that the president made, there's a lot of balance, and you must agree with me on this. There's a lot of balance in terms of regions. And you see, as Western, where I come from, we already don't have a woman governor. So that tells you we already have a gap, a missing link. Because who will be appointed now to be CS if already we are struggling? And you see governors are appointed and elected by the people. So it's a mindset shift that needs to happen over time.
All right. Now you come from Western, and this will be your final remark on this particular conversation. Coming from Western, and you say we don't have a woman governor. And it's like it's a struggle somewhere. When you walk with people and you talk to people at the grassroots level, what is it that they're saying about women representation and women leadership, that they're like, okay, we haven't elected a governor yet. What is it that is missing there?
Actually, I think they would love to elect a woman governor. Most of the parties that are in that region have not been giving women a chance. And that's why we want to take the UDA Party, because we've seen the UDA Party doing and giving women a chance at these positions. So we want to take the UDA Party to Western region and to make sure women vie on our party. And I know the president has goodwill for us. And personally, as a member, a bona fide member of UDA, I will push for women candidates from my region. And that is a starting point, because once they have the party tickets, we will campaign for them and they will be governors very soon. So there's like a small plan, but we're working on it progressively.
Future political ambitions for Sheila Sifuma.
The president said the presidency can be of opposite gender. So we are looking at it.
Thank you so much for your time,
Thank
Sheila.
you, thank you too.
And making time for this conversation.
Okay.
And yes, I do believe that the meeting at State House did. It's time to send the people's agenda, to send the government's agenda, and make sure that the people at the grassroots get to understand what the government is all about, what it wants to be achieved, and all that. Right? Thank you so much for your time, and I hope we do this again soon.
Yes, sure.
Yeah.
And have more ladies also on the panel.
Of course. Yes. I normally do that. I think I'm the only host in the country, sorry. That is very intentional when it comes to hosting ladies.
Okay.
Thank you. So I am contributing to this particular conversation.
Thank you.
All right. Like I said, we will do this again next time.
Okay.
When I call you, kindly come.
I will.
You're making a promise to my viewers, right?
Yes, I will sure.
Well, that does it for us here on The Bottom Line. Thank you so much for being part of the conversation here on Lookuptv. I've been speaking to Sheila Sifuma, who is a member of the County Assembly of Bungoma County. Do have yourselves a lovely night. Let's do this again next Tuesday. And keep safe.